Well, I'm overwhelmed right now with a lot of stuff that I'm doing, and classes start on Monday. And
Okay.
I still have to, I got three syllabi to get up.
Ooh.
Like I'm supposed to have them up today, but they're not going to be up today. And, but as long as they're up tomorrow, I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it's just, they should have been done, say, 2 weeks ago, but I had a summer class for the first time as well. And then
Ah.
I went to Martha's Vineyard to the
Oh yes, for the festival, the
yeah,
Martha
to the
Stewart
festival, yeah. And then I'm editing 3 to 4 projects right now, trying to finish writing a script, and I'm like writing grants for money for the different things that I'm doing at the school. And
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot. So
It's a lot. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, he just introduced himself. Okay, we have Tony Clomax on the podcast. Thank you, Tony,
but thank you
for
for
joining.
having me. I really appreciate it.
Welcome to another episode of So Mind-Boggling Journeys. I'm your host, Bettina Goolsby. I'm an actor and dreamer/creative continuing to go after my dreams. So much of this journey is just so mind-boggling, hence the title, for either reasons of utter disappointment or the manifestation beyond what I could have ever imagined. Follow along as I check in with other creatives along the way and learn what so mind-boggling things they have to say and what it's like pursuing the dream while living the in-between.
Actually, I haven't seen your face in a long time.
It's been a minute.
Yes.
It's been a minute. Okay, but we'll get into that. So, I just want to introduce you to the listeners. Tony is a writer, director, producer, editor, teacher. Okay, hence all those things he was saying beforehand that he's working on. You have a lot going on. So, because you kicked it off with talking about teaching and working on your syllabi, you are now teaching film production and screenwriting at HBCU's Prairie View A&M University down in Prairie View, Texas. So how
Yes.
is that going? Like now being a teacher?
Well, I never set out to be a professor. I never even considered it. And it was in 2018 when I was a guest to come and speak during Com Week. And they had me run a few workshops and things like that. So the chairperson at the time, she pulled me to the side. She's like, "I want you to come teach here." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm a filmmaker, and I'm focused on that." But it was at that time that I was about to make my move to LA again.
Mm,
So I was already getting, mentally ready to leave New York, and she just kept at me. And then after a couple of months, I said, you know what? I'll try it out. And at least it puts me halfway to LA. And so I got to be honest, I always had one foot in, one foot out. So after each semester, I would just go back to New York. And I was actually doing some shadowing
mhm.
on some TV shadowing, and so I was doing all of that. So my whole idea was I'm getting ready to finally direct television, and
Mhm.
and as I was moving towards that, boom, pandemic,
Yes.
and so it was at that time, and then you probably knew my brother, my oldest and my only brother, had passed from COVID as well. So it was a mix, and then I 30 less than 30 days later, I found out my estranged father had passed. So it was a
Oh,
lot of
tell me
stuff going on. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff going on. So I made that decision. Then I got offered a tenure-track position,
that.
and I had to make a decision. And so it was 2020 when I decided, okay, I'm going to make Houston my home,
Mm.
and I'm going to, be this tenure track film professor, and I'm going to really buy into rebuilding in establishing our program as as one of the go-to, film, television, radio programs, not only in Texas, but amongst all the HBCUs and other schools. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what I've been doing, making this juggling. So
Yes. Oh my gosh. So what I love about this is I was just saying to another actress friend of mine how we'll have an idea what our plan is, right? And the plan is always to do what it is we want to do, right? So
right,
your plan is you're like, no, I'm gonna be, directing, writing and directing TV or whatever, right? Me, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna be acting in these projects, right?
right,
And it's
exactly,
like life just kind of happens and it's like then you're doing this other thing. It's still kind of in the world, right?
right,
It's
right.
adjacent to, but it isn't necessarily that like the end goal, the quote unquote destination. So
Right.
how was that reconciling for you? It was great timing though because it was during the pandemic with
Hmm.
everything shut down. So you got yourself a good steady Eddie, which I'm
Right,
sure
right,
was
right.
very,
Exactly.
very unexpected, but a blessing indeed, right? But like,
Mhm.
how did you reconcile the fact it wasn't exactly your plan and what you thought you would be doing?
Well, I will say this. Um, Now I've done just the same amount of work, um, production wise, out that I did like out of New York when I was living in New York. Okay, so one of the things that having this so-called career 9 to 5 is, as an artist, and you're not out here with these struggle jobs. Or when I was in New York, I was a entrepreneur. Like, I worked for myself, right?
Yes.
So one of the things that happened was the smell of desperation was washed off. So
Mm-hmm.
when somebody would come to me with a project and with their budget, and if it wasn't aligned with me and financially, and something that I wanted to do, I could just say no and not feel like, well, hey, I better take this because I got to pay these bills in the next 2 weeks. That eliminated all of that. The other thing is, becoming a professor of film production and communications, and doing screenwriting and audio and all of that, it's made me a better filmmaker
Mm.
because I had to go back to the basics and learn how to teach the stuff to folks who don't know anything about it. And I used to run workshops in New York and stuff. With my web series, I used to do these, web series workshops and things like that. But this was on a different level, so it made me a better student because I'm constantly reading, I'm constantly watching videos, I'm constantly staying on top of things that are going on in the industry, technology wise, staying sharp as a writer. But I'm still producing content. So that's one of the things that the students get is, wow, our professor got these films in these film festivals. Oh, our professor just won the ABFF 2021 best screenplay. So it's like, yeah, I'm not just teaching you how to do this, I am
Right.
doing this. So that's one of the that's one of the many reasons that I was able to like buy into this and accept it, because I'm still creating, and I am becoming a better filmmaker because I am a better student, so I can be a better teacher. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it every day. Like, every day I'm doing something where I'm learning and staying on top of my craft. And I gotta say, I'm just like, like, man, like, some of the stuff that I do now, like, I'm like, man, I wish I had this. I wish I was doing this when I first started. Like, I have an MFA, and a lot of the things that I do now, like, I wasn't taught that in my program. I wasn't doing it back then because my whole approach to it is differently. It's different now, and so I'm just like, it's just I'm very regiment. Like it's I have to learn, and then I have to apply. And so that's how I've been able to accept it. The fact that I still, my colleagues and I, we go to film festivals. We're still engaging with the community. We're building relationships with different companies and streaming services and places like Paramount Plus and Sony and ABC Signature. So I'm constantly on top of this stuff. So that's how I'm able to be like, okay, Professor
Mm-hmm.
Clomax, that's not a bad thing. Or the director of film and television at Prairie View A&M University. That's okay. That sounds good. So that's how I'm able to accept that. That's the long answer to your question.
Yes. No, I love that because I say the same thing. So I've been working like in corporate jobs, like freelance gigs,
Mhm.
and now that I'm past the point of being like, oh my gosh, like I'm supposed to be doing, whatever this acting project is or in this acting world, 24/7. I'm like, oh, I'm actually learning how to be a better producer because, it's so task oriented and it's so detail oriented. And I'm like, oh, it just makes me even better of a producer when it's time for me to produce, my own projects, going
Yes.
forward or whatever. So, okay. So we talked about how you are a writer, director, producer of Maximize Productions. You have
Mhm.
directed over 50 episodes of cable and streaming, which you just talked about. So I want to talk about a couple things. Let me see. Where do I want to start? Where do I want to start? I think I want to start with 21 steps to recovery
Oh,
because
12 steps, 12 steps.
wait, did I say 21?
Well, there was 20, we ended with 21 episodes.
Yes. But
God
there were
forbid, if there was 21 steps, people would never get out the dating pool.
no, it was 12 steps, excuse me, 12 steps to recovery, which was is a web series slash TV series with like a slew of New York actors, featuring Caliber. And if I say this last name wrong, is it
Yeah, Caliber So say, yeah,
which we want to say
rest in
RIP.
peace.
Yes,
Yes.
we want to say RIP to him. It was very shocking, and I did not know him personally, but because of
My
his
brother.
age and everything, I still was affected by that. We had Stephen Hill in there, who is a longtime brother and collaborator of yours,
Yes.
and Erica Myers. And
Yes.
so basically, this series, they set up Parrish is his name. They set him up on a series of 12 blind dates, and it's about all the shenanigans that come along with those dates. And that was around 2010 to 2012. Now,
Yeah.
where can we see this now? And I want to talk to you about this in terms of the streaming too, because when I looked on IMDb,
Mhm.
I didn't see where I could see it, where I could find
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah. So it's so crazy. It was such a great learning process because my producing partner Emlyn Stewart, we had meetings with BET, and that we were trying to get a deal with them, and then they got purchased, and the folks that we were dealing with weren't there anymore. It was just this ongoing cycle. And then, we were on different streaming platforms for a while. We were making money. And then we were doing a deal with this company that was going to be launching a new streaming service. And to be honest, the guy was probably trying to make a combination of Tubi and All Black
Mm.
back in 2012, 2013. And so, to say the least, we got caught up in that. That didn't work out. And so it was all these different opportunities where we were going to be, making a show on television.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't happen. And I started doing other stuff, and all the actors started doing other things, and then the next time you hear like, oh, somebody's interested, and then we'll start the talks again. Then it wouldn't go anywhere, and then at that point, I just got really tired of it,
Mm.
and so it's crazy that I see A lot of shows that came up after, after my show. You can see it, you can see it on Tubi, and things like that. I've been thinking about, okay, well, do I put it on Tubi? Do I, and I
Yes.
don't know. I don't know if, I mean,
Yes.
honestly, it's it was already prepared for television, streaming on television when we were dealing with this network,
Mm-hmm.
and so it didn't happen. So I had put together basically seven half an hour episodes. So I recut the series, and so it's like, okay, we got seven half-hour episodes. That'll be good, but we would need to kind of like pick this thing up. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's something to consider. Just last December, I had somebody come to me saying, "Hey, we're interested if we can get this on. Are you interested?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure." But that didn't happen. I never heard back from them about it. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't lose sleep over it. It was a nice moment in time. I'm sure it inspired a lot of different shows that came after it. I know that a lot of actors cut their teeth on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Stephen Hill, that was really Stephen's first time doing like a series, but doing 12 steps definitely prepared him for doing Magnum PI, because it's different when you're doing something episodic compared to a film, because you get to live with the character for a long time. And we spent 2 years, making that show. And it's something I'm proud of, and that's what got me into the Writers Guild.
I was
I
going to ask you what the
Yeah,
project
so
was. So it was
yeah,
12
so
steps.
that's how I got into the Writers Guild, because the Writers Guild saw what was happening with web series, and they were just like, okay, well, we're going to open this thing up for people who are producing a lot of content, and so that's how I got in. So I've been a member since 2010.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me ask you a question. So why are you even contemplating whether or not you should or not put on Tubi?
I mean,
I mean, outside of
you know, I I
listen.
feel like okay, it would be there for everyone to see, because that's how it was meant to be. We were working with the with that other streaming service, and like I said, it's in a half hour format. It's all ready to go. So I guess I don't know. Maybe that's something I need to look into.
Because
Um,
the
and
folks that are on Tubi are
uh,
on Tubi, okay? And they're watching Tubi down.
right, yeah, they are,
They are.
and I look at it. One of the things that I always say is like, okay, always try to, with the next project, be better, make your work better. And so there were things that that I didn't even know when I was making that series, and it's just like, hey, like I was making this show. I didn't know these things, but I knew them instinctively, but I wasn't taught these things. Like I wasn't taught to write for television. In my film program, it was just we're writing for either um, narrative shorts or narrative features, or you're doing documentaries. It was never like, okay, this is how you write structure. Doing a 5 act structure for a television show. And so it was that stuff I didn't know. But when you watch it, it's like, oh, I must have knew something because I was feeling it, and I made it work. But and then we shot that show on a 5D and 7D, and but I mean when you look at it, it still holds up.
Yes.
You know, and I mean, like you can listen. There are things from the 1940s that I watch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so for me to feel like, oh yeah, it's dated. It's from 2010 and 2011 and 2012. No, you know, funny is funny, love is love, adventure is adventures. You know, so I think people would still enjoy watching it. So you know, I never even thought about Tubi until right now. So maybe that's something I'll look into. But I remember now, um, I was only on YouTube for maybe a few episodes. Then I didn't distribute to YouTube. We were doing Blip TV.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you had to watch our show on Blip TV, and that's how we made money. And people really found out about our show because um, we had our show attached to essence.com.
Wow.
So when you went to Essence website and you saw ads, there was an ad for 12 Steps to Recovery.
Wow.
And so you click on that and then you watch the latest episode. But then if you wanted to, it gave you an option to go back and watch the previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we really made money. And
Mm.
then Blip didn't, you know, because the way the revenue share was, it was I think Blip, I think they got like 40%. I think it was 40%, and we got 60. But we were making a lot of, you know, we were making some decent money, and they didn't understand. Well, how are you making so much money? And it's just like because people were watching the show. And so that's when they were just saying like, oh, yeah, you can't have your show attached to a magazine website. It was crazy.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. That sound because why?
Yeah,
Why? You know. Okay, so you took 12 steps, and then like you were saying, how you want to get better with each project. You took
right,
all the learnings from 12 steps, and then you wrote another series called Date, Love, Repeat.
right. So Date Love Repeat actually wasn't my it wasn't my show. I was hired to do
Oh my
Date Love
God! I thought
Repeat.
you wrote that. I thought you
Well, I
wrote
did.
it.
I
Okay.
did.
Oh, okay.
I was hired, and so the producer creator had an idea, came to me and wanted me to write it, wanted me to direct it, edit it. I brought on a cinematographer, God, Castro. I can't remember her first name, which you know I'm embarrassed. I can't remember right now, but last name Castro, a Latina sister, and I was second camera on it,
Hmm.
and so basically I helped develop the characters more, created this world. Uh, we did, you know, did the structure, everything like that, and then I wrote all the scripts. Yeah, so yeah, and now you know, she got a nice little discount because, and that was the other thing. So this is the thing, you know, where the Writers Guild comes into play. You know, like the Writers Guild is there to protect us,
Mm-hmm.
you know, writers and stuff. However, when it comes to, you know, things on the indie level, if somebody wants to hire you, they pretty much can't afford you.
Mm.
You know, they just can't. They can't afford you. So you have to make a decision. It's like, okay, well, am I going to work some deal out? Am I going to take X amount of dollars up front and then take some, you know, a percentage on the back end? You know, making money. So you have to make those decisions. But one of the things that I've decided was that, you know, when it comes to someone wanting to hire me as a writer, the last project I did that and it was with one of my students. So that was it. Like that's the last person that's getting any type of kind of hookup or whatever. And so if somebody wants to hire me as a writer, then they're going to have to hire me as a WGA East writer.
Uh-huh.
And that's just what it is.
Yes. Okay, so break it down for the listeners, right? So what do you feel like you don't get with just being a writer for hire that gets like a flat fee basically in the beginning?
Well, it's the amount of money. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's the amount of money. And so if if you gotta if the minimum for me is what if it's $45,000 and your budget is $60,000, you can't afford me because yeah I might be writing all the stuff, but then okay, how is it going to get made? Because you only got $10,000-$12,000 left, so and that's where it comes out. So when it comes to doing my own projects, it's not an issue. I'm gonna pay myself in other ways, but I'm creating something that it's mine, right? But when it comes to getting hired, honestly, a lot of folks with their indie projects, they can't really afford to hire a WGA writer.
I see what you're saying. And so basically, because my initially when you said that, I was thinking, so if you all are working out a deal, then you can say, okay, I'm going to give you this hookup in the beginning, and then I'm going to get X amount on the back end. But the back end isn't guaranteed and such. So then at the end of the day, you could be like, oh my God, I actually spent all this time, all these hours working on this. I discounted my $45,000 fee for $10,000 or whatever, and then now there's not even anything to get on the back end. So I totally kind of
Right.
you screw yourself is what you're
And you know what? It helps to have an agent. And when I worked on, say, Date, Love, Repeat, I didn't have my agent yet. And so of course she probably would have she may have would have been like, yeah, I don't want you I don't want you doing it. I don't want you doing that. And and right now I don't have an agent. Okay, so I've had an agent all the way up until I want to say maybe a year and a half ago. And that's the thing. An agent, you have to be making money.
Yes.
So your agent can make money.
Right.
And so, there, like I said, there were different opportunities that were, coming my way. And then, the pandemic, and then now, we got this strike and stuff.
Right.
So it's kind of like, oh, I got to start over again.
Yes. Oh
I got to start over again. And so one of the things that I've decided, and listen, I love TV. I love TV. I want to direct TV. I want to write for TV. But I'm not going to beg. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to beg for it. And so one of the things that I need to focus on is like constant. I'm just going to focus on my art. I'm going to, make my films and let them do what they're going to do. And if somebody wants to bring me in and they say, oh, we love what you're doing. And, we want you to come in and shadow, for this episode, because we want you to direct the next one or something like that. I'm down for that. But as far as like doing any of the programs at this point, like I'm not applying to any more programs. I'm just not. I'm not doing that anymore. And call it. You can refer to it as a young man's game or young woman's game or whatever. And I don't want to take anything from people who actually get into the programs. They can only accept so many people. They can only accept so many people. And sometimes if you can only accept so many people, there's different categories that you need to make sure you're able to check. And so I don't want to even get caught up in all of that. I don't want to be the person feeling like, man, that's political. Man, that's this. That I don't even want to be like that. So what's for me is for me, and what's not is not. So I got to let the work speak for itself. I'm just going to continue writing. I'm going to continue. I got 2 productions that I'm going to be doing in the next year. I'm going to do a production in January, and then I got a production in June. And so that's going to be it for me when it comes to short films. But I'm using these short films to leverage into getting the proper funding for a feature film that is mine. And that's the other thing. Is just like, being in these situations where you got to cut so many corners, or you're working with people who want to cut corners, and that's not how you want to work. And and then you don't have the right amount of money, the right budget. So now things are always going to go wrong on productions. Always. It doesn't matter if you Steven Spielberg
Yes.
or Spike Lee or Michael Mann or whomever. Something always goes wrong on a production, but usually you have the finances to deal with it, right? Or the person that's there has the flexibility and the creativity to come up with a problem solve and then make it work, but it is harder when you don't have those type of funds. And so for me, if somebody says, yeah, I got this 30, $40,000 I can give you to go make this feature film. Can I make a feature film with $40,000? Yeah, but is it going to be something that I really want to do? And okay, maybe if I was to take that money and make it a film that's in one location, and I'm able to bring in some at least 2 to 3 actors that are super solid actors, and I can house them on campus, and we shoot in the summer, and I work a deal out with the school where they're able to eat.
It's
On,
a finagle on a
you
finagle
know
on
what
a
I'm saying? So
finagle.
yeah, I could probably make it work, but do I want to do that? The experience that I had in Dallas with the feature film with my student, that hasn't come out yet. Actually, listen, it's a funny film. Um, we we had a lot of fun making that film. I can't wait for people to look at it and stuff. But there are things that happen, like it always happens on film productions, and you have to adjust. And so all I'm gonna say is this: I'm not saying no names or nothing like that, because I don't want to badmouth people. I could, but I'm not. But imagine your lead actress trying to strong arm your project, right before shooting, and you don't, you're not going to have that. And so I had to make a decision. I fired her 3 hours before we were supposed to start shooting. Yeah. So imagine that. So now I could be like some other directors and be like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do? I could fold and give in, and then what? No, I could say, all right, well, we had to start over. So everybody we flew in from New York and stuff like that. Hey, just consider this time a vacation for you. No, I had to flip the script, and I was like, and let me tell you, Kelly Janelle is the real VIP, because she was playing the sister of the lead character, and I was just like, listen, I need you to play the lead. I said,
Wow.
can you do it? And she said, okay. And then I had another actress, Tiffany Dunn, who was supposed to be there for one day to play a small role. I said, hey, can you play the sister? So what went from one day on part of the production went to 8 days. So I shut everything down for one day and I said, all right, guys, you two are going to learn your new roles and we're just going to have to um, catch up, and the way we're shooting, just learn. I already had the schedule laid out. I said, so learn your lines in this order. Be because I was shooting out a sequence and I was just like, let's just be prepared for these scenes on these
Right.
days. And the thing that I was at a really disadvantage, and I brought my homeboy Charles Gates in to be the DP, and I was second camera. We had a big old dolly and stuff. I mean, I had all these big shots, moving shots, all mapped out and stuff. I was like, yeah, we're gonna make this great romantic comedy. And but once I had to fire the actress, and we lost that. We were already against the gun, doing a 2 camera setup for 186. I mean, for 86-page script, and I made a decision that I stand by now. I still stand by it. All the dolly shots, all those fancy shots, they had to go out the window because we had to play catch up. We had to make our day, and so that's what we did to make sure that we made the film, because we had these actors from New York for this amount of time. And had I been like, no, we're still going to have this dolly. So now we setting up. And so we got, I had a student who's my AD. I had another student who was my AC. And some of the other people that we had hired, they decided that they couldn't make it. This is 2021. And so people were still feeling kind of funny about the pandemic and things like that. I was just like, yo, if you're going to be on set and you're not in front of the camera, everybody got to wear a mask. Some people didn't want to, like, I don't wear no mask. So that's, they decided they didn't want to be a part of the production.
Oh God.
You got to remember, we're shooting in Texas. I had to get crew, from somebody from Austin, somebody was coming in from LA. They decided they weren't coming. It was like, I'll tell you this, the guy who was supposed to come and shoot the behind the scenes stuff, this brother was driving from Virginia. He was just like, I want to learn and this and that. I'm like, look, bro, you get here, we take care. We can give you gas money, trip back. You ain't got to worry about where you stand, what you eat, and this and that. But, we're going to pay for that travel and things like that. Brother drove about one state, had to turn back around. Wife had a medical emergency.
Oh my gosh.
And he had to turn around. It was like everything that could go wrong on the production went wrong.
It sounds like it.
And had that brother been there to shoot the behind the scenes, I would have had my heart of darkness. I would have had the footage for one of the greatest documentaries of all time. Because when I say everything that went wrong, but we were resilient and we stuck with it. And I gotta say, I mean, that's who I am. That's how I'm built. That comes from my background in athletics. Walking on to a Division I school, HBCU school, and eventually earning some scholarship money and becoming the starting running back, from a walk on. And or being told that I couldn't do something. So it was just like I could have quit, but I'm just not built for that. And so everybody's looking at me like, dang, what we gonna do? And so if I don't quit, you don't quit.
Right.
If I'm wearing 5 different hats, we didn't have our audio person until till day 3. Guess what? I'm over there doing the audio too, behind second camera and directing. But at the end of the day, when we screened this film at Stewart Cinema Cafe, that audience was laughing their butt off.
Hmm.
That audience, and that audience was filled with artists, with filmmakers. And so afterwards, I spoke and I shared some of what happened. Their mouths dropped. They were like, "What? All that happened, and you got this on screen?" Like, and so standing ovation because we made a film,
Wow.
and everybody who was supposed to be in that film, they're in that film. I just wish we would have had 2 weeks with them properly preparing with the new actors. So it was kind of a power move that the actress, who's a local Houston actress, that she tried to do, and but it didn't stop us. But
Wow.
I do wish that sister the best. I do.
Oh my
I
God.
really do.
It's crazy. It's like two movies: the actual movie and then the movie behind
Right,
the scenes.
right, right.
Like it was its own movie. Oh my goodness. But like you were saying earlier, every project you learn so much and it helps you for the next. So imagine your next project. Like you're getting so refined and like sharper, because it sounds like going through that experience, like you learned so much from that.
I just listen. I want to do a film where I'm not behind the camera, where I'm not worrying about sound, where I'm not. All I'm doing is sitting in my nice little uh, um, fancy director's chair, looking at the monitor, or getting down on one knee in the scene, giving the actors direction. That's what I want to do, and come
Mm-hmm.
back, say some things to my DP, so they can go ahead and do whatever with the lights and let be clear about how I want the camera moving and all of that. That's all I want to do, and sit there and listen to the best sound ever, because we know we ain't got anything without good sound. And I just want to submerge myself in the directing. That's what's going to happen on these next projects that I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
because I have to show people that, yeah, I can wear all these hats, I can make a production, but when I have the right money and when I'm able to just focus on directing, this is what I can do. So that's what these two upcoming short films that I'm going to be doing in the next year. That's the purpose of that, to pretty much reintroduce the industry to what I can do as a
Mm-hmm.
as a filmmaker, as a director.
Mm-hmm. And I love you have a very clear vision of what you want. You're going
Yeah.
into these projects very intentional. So Tony,
Mm-hmm.
you think that I brought you on here to talk about your little films and your little web series and TV series and all of that. Okay. But what I really brought you up here for is because I don't know if you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I have auditioned for about 3 of your projects, okay? Of which I have not booked any single one. So this is not actually an interview. This
What
is
what
an ambush,
what
actually.
what three projects?
Okay, I'm gonna come back to that one.
Mm.
Sister Mary in
Sister
the
Mary.
Harlem in the Harlem Film Project.
Oh well, that wasn't even produced.
Okay. Monica Forrester.
That was something that wasn't produced either.
Okay. 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 Um, 12 steps to recovery.
That's possible because we had a hundred actors in
Mhm.
that show.
Every New York actor was in there except for me. Okay, that's fine. And then actually, it's a fourth one. Okay, the fourth one was, and you're gonna be shocked that I am mentioning this one because this was forever ago. This shows how long we've actually known each other, even if we're not in contact. Okay,
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
disciplinary
Mary Atkins.
actions.
Yeah. The Diana Smith's project.
Yes. Oh my gosh. What a blast from the past, right?
What role did you apply? I mean, did you audition for that?
I don't know. I'd have to look back.
Because I mean,
My
really,
notes.
I'm trying to think. I think D pretty much oversaw that.
Well, let me do the week. Actually, no, it won't me. It was D.
And I gotta give her a call. She left me a message last week, so I gotta call her back.
Oh my
But
gosh. No. But what I've learned after all these years, right, is one, I was shocked, right? Because I was doing research, and just kind of like going through the archives or whatever.
right,
And
right,
I was
right.
like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this, right? But what you learn is that like all of that doesn't even matter. There's all these other factors that go into play that a lot of times
Right.
don't even have anything to do with the actor. Or maybe it did. Maybe it did. Or maybe it did. I don't know.
Well, a lot of times, you know what? A lot of times it's chemistry.
Yes.
It's not even about, you know, heck, you can be Allen Iverson, right? You could be Allen Iverson, but are you trying to team Allen Iverson up with Jordan?
Right. No, it's true.
No, but you would team Allen Iverson up with LeBron James.
Hmm.
That would work.
Okay.
You would definitely do
I
that.
don't think I know basketball enough to
Okay.
quite connect that reference, but
but
I get what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah, but
But that still applies, right? Because it's like you don't know what's going on behind the scenes that makes more sense to them.
yeah.
And I'm not trying to make this awkward,
No, no,
but I also didn't realize this. One, you were talking about how you did, how you were doing jobs. You cut the reel for Steph, her at one of her, I think maybe her first actor reel. And Steph has been on the show. And I was like, oh my God, I
which
forgot that
which Steph?
Stephanie
Oh
Williams.
yeah, 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 yeah. Her and her husband.
Oh, and
Yeah,
Storm. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. I love it.
yeah.
And then I don't know if you remember this because I hadn't remembered this, but you actually cut a reel for my really good friend Brandis Russell. Me and Shireen Miller Russell had put together a reel for her because she had a great idea for this doll project. And you put together this reel that we wanted to put together to kind of like re-inspire her and to show her like all the different work that she had kind of already put into it and just her vision and her dreams and all that. And we put that together. And I was like, oh my God, Tony, cut that.
Oh my
Tony, that
goodness.
was seriously like over 10 years ago. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like shocked.
Shoot, you got. I'm trying to remember that.
I don't know why I would not have remembered that, but I would not have remembered that if I didn't go digging through the crates in
Right.
preparation for this. And I was like, oh my gosh. So another thing in digging through the crates, and I mentioned to you earlier, I think before we started recording, where I was like, oh my God, Tony, like you look great. Like you really look like no time has passed. And I remember back in the day you were doing yoga, and I was like, you must still be doing yoga now then. Are you still doing yoga?
Nah, listen. I don't do. Bikram, they have Bikram, but it's so far out. Like I'm not driving an hour to go do yoga.
Now, yoga is now so readily available. There's a studio within an hour of where you are.
Well, not Bikram. Not.
Oh, Bikram.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And that's the other thing. It's just like I'm not gonna leave work after a long day and then like to
Yeah.
be just because things are really spread out in Houston, and you got to be very strategic. You're right. So that now I'll say this: if there was a place that was on like right off of 290 between where I drive to from campus
Hmm.
home, I probably would go in there probably 4 or 5 times a week.
Mm.
But like every style of yoga is not, it's not the same, and
No.
so yeah,
Because I was going to recommend, I think I went to a place called Generation Yoga that was great, but it's definitely not Bikram.
yeah,
Unless that's a new offering, but I don't know. It was just regular vinyasa when I went. But
yeah,
vinyasa is great, and but I don't know.
yeah,
You know what you like, so you do you.
yeah. It's the commute. It's the
Okay.
commute to go do it, and it's just a lot. So it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, it has to be convenient.
Yeah. Okay. So what about YouTube? Are there some Bikram yoga classes on
Well, then, I
YouTube?
mean,
Or,
how am I going to be? I need a hot room. That's
mm,
the whole reason why, it's like,
you're in Houston. Go out on the patio. No.
oh, so now now I'm trying to have a stroke out here,
Heat
heat
stroke.
stroke.
Listen,
Shoot.
those rooms get so hot. I feel like it's equivalent to being out on the patio.
Yeah, that's a little different than to have the heat and the sun to be frying, the back of your neck like bacon.
Yes. No, I.
But what I do is I walk actually. I try to get in 4 mile walk.
Oh wow, that's a lot
Yeah, in the morning.
in the early morning because Houston is hot,
Well,
right?
it has to be early because of my schedule.
Yes.
And but like on the weekends or on my day off, then like I might go out. It could be like 10 a.m. Which it's like it's hot, but it takes me an hour
Mm-hmm.
to finish, and so I'm beating that noontime heat. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still getting heat, but not that noontime heat.
At that noontime. That's a
Right,
different
right.
type of heat right there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I got my kettlebells here. I stretch things like that, and as you see, I'm on my second bottle of water since we've been on this, been doing the show. So
Mm-hmm.
you gotta hydrate.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that I'm having though is I'm not. I know for a fact that I'm not getting enough sleep.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not getting enough sleep, and that usually happens when I'm like I have a lot of editing projects, but also it's like, oh, I got to get ready for the semester. So once I get a couple of things like off my plate,
Mm-hmm.
then it's just like, okay, because that's one of the things that I'm really trying to just kind of like not do anymore like that is the editing.
Okay. Which is crazy because in my mind, I actually think of you as like in addition to writer, director, I think of you probably well, God, that's hard because I do think of you as a producer, but definitely an editor.
But yeah, I mean, I've edited.
Like,
I mean, so many people's projects,
yes,
like outside of their reels and stuff,
right.
so many different films,
Yes.
and so like right now, like I'm, two documentaries that I shot, I have to edit. Actually, three documentaries I shot, I have to edit. Then also the documentary series, Homecoming Ready by Hampton's Homecoming. I'm doing episode 6 right now, which is it. So I have to get that done and get that to my client, and then I have to do the sound mixes for the remaining 3 episodes that need it. Yeah, so I have to have that done, and then I also have like my corporate clients. I'm doing a campaign for iHeartRadio, and yeah, so it's a lot.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so before we get out of here, I want to ask you, would you say because the title of the podcast is So Mind-Boggling Journeys, right? And so
Mhm.
mind-boggling can be two things. It can be one, the most amazing, mind-blowing, mind-boggling thing that you could have ever imagined, right? Your
Mhm.
greatest imagination or dreams come to life. Or it could be like the what in the world, the most unexpected, but not in a great way, the most, you know, disheartening, unfortunate situation. So, what would you say on both ends? What have been the two so mind boggling things that have happened to you along your journey thus far?
Hmm. On both ends of the spectrum, mind-boggling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, man, I don't know if I want to say that.
Yeah. Oh, you got to say that. Because that's what the thing, that's what the so mind boggling thing is.
I would say this. I would say something that has been mind-boggling is like some of the people that I came up with. like working together or collaborating or whatever. And let's say that they've just gone off and just really, they're just doing it, right? And so there's a number of people who they've just killed it and they're killing it. And so to see that and to celebrate them and everything, but then get into a position where they act like they don't know you.
Yes.
That's been mind-boggling for people who have reached out to me, and for me to take, because I can go on. This is before even being a professor. I've had so many people, over the years reach out and ask me for my help or my opinion and this and that, and I would take the time to give them that, and and to think that we've had this camaraderie or whatever, and then in turn to have my agent come back to me and say, I thought you knew such and such. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Why? They're just, they're acting like they don't even know who you are. And I'm just, so now I got to pull out receipts and, share with my agent. And now, her mouth is open. She's like, I'm sorry. The way they were talking, I thought you weren't even telling the truth, but I see otherwise. And I'm sorry. But so that's been mind boggling. And so that's something that I had to tell myself. I'm like, you know what? When you do things for people, you have to do it without expecting anything in return. And so for me to like go such a long time and not ask for any favors, anything like that, but to legitimately be submitted for something or whatever, and here's your opportunity to kind of pay it forward, and you're known for that. And now, and I'm being, you're not paying it forward to me. It's like, oh, damn. Oh, okay. So that's something that I gotta say, kind of like was bothering me for a while, but I had to let it go. I had to release it. And it's funny that you asked me that, because I had to release that this year. And it's just, yeah. So it's just I'm like, okay, cool. But on the other end, the other mind-boggling thing is the fact that I'm an actual tenured-track professor, that I have to start preparing for the next stage of when I'm going to go up for tenure. So it's mind-boggling that I'm actually in that position. I would have never even thought I would ever be a college professor. And so to stand in front of a class of of young people, and to contribute to molding and shaping um, their talents, and how they see the industry, and to create opportunities for them, that's mind-boggling to me as well.
Yes. Ah. Ah. I feel both of those. I feel both of those. And I don't know why that is, why people do that. I think, well, no, I have said this before. I think a lot of times people feel like because they had to fight and scrap to get wherever they are, I think
Mm-hmm.
they feel that like if you're someone that isn't where they are right now, that you're looking to them to kind of like pull them up, where you're like, no, it's just we have a relate. I thought we had a relationship. We know each other. I thought it was like we're helping each other out.
Right.
But I think because people feel like they had to just fight for it and no one helped them out, even though everyone eventually gets
Oh,
help.
everybody gets help.
everybody gets help, right? But they feel like they don't want to be the one to make it easier for you when someone didn't make it easy for them. I think it's that.
Yeah, that could possibly be it. But also, in this situation, the fact that these are people who reached and asked for help and was given to them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just, and then they want to be known for the person that helps. It's interesting, to
Yeah,
say
that
the
is
least.
interesting.
And it's so funny because I was just like, I said, man, this is crazy. And I had to go back. I had to go back to my DMs on Facebook, and that's when I saw, like, oh damn, these two particular people actually deleted all this conversation.
Oh my gosh.
Trying to get rid of receipts, which is, I just thought it was funny. So, but it's all good. Like I
It
said,
is. That's weird.
yeah, you know what? Actually, it's not.
You get all types in this business, that's for sure.
And that's the thing. It's just like, a lot of times when somebody's giving you the short end of the stick, if somebody is mistreating you, if somebody is slighting you or have slighted you, usually it's not even about you. You know what I'm saying? It's not even about you. It's about them. Right? It's about them. And so that's how you got to just look at it. Like, hey, you know what? This ain't even about me. It's not a reflection of me because I didn't do anything. I didn't do any harm or anything like that. And if somebody doesn't want to be reminded of when they actually ask for help and things like that, then hey, it's all good.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
I'm at peace.
Say that again.
I said I'm at peace.
Oh, you're at peace. Yeah. I feel like this business is a series of like not taking anything personally.
Right.
And I feel like it took me many, many years to get that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, oh, I get it now. Because you'll just constantly be upset or like annoyed or
Right.
disgruntled or disillusioned, right?
Exactly.
So, but thank you, Tony, so much for
Right.
coming on to the podcast. This is great. This was so
Thank
great
you.
having you on. And I talked about it before, reached out to you. And so I'm just glad we were able to make it happen.
Yes.
And I wish you nothing but success.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just very much looking forward to your projects that you have on tap.
Thank you. And I appreciate it. And thank you for this little break. So now I got to get back to getting stuff ready for the semester and also getting back to cutting this work. But yeah, this was a much needed break. I appreciate the time and keep doing great work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. This has been a So Mind Boggling production. Follow along at So Mind Boggling on Instagram and Facebook.